The movie is set in the post-cataclysmic future where Earth has become uninhabitable due to rapid human pollution. Because of this, scientists sought to send a power station into outer space to harvest geothermal energy from other planets. However, it was too late as many people started dying because of the worsening conditions. So, mankind resorted to sending around 100 spacecraft named the Exodus missions on course for space to inhabit a space station built on one of Jupiter's moons named Io. The movie then cuts to a scientist named Sam Walden, one of the few remaining humans on Earth. She is seen inside an abandoned warehouse in a place she calls the Zone, wearing respiratory gear to avoid breathing in the poisonous air around her. She collects some samples for testing purposes while recording all her findings via an audio log. Afterwards, Sam exits the building where shortly after she hears a beeping sound, indicating that her oxygen supply is low. So, she rushes to her ATV and immediately refills her oxygen supply before riding back to her enclave. Later, it turns out that Sam lives alone at high altitude, where the air is still breathable. There, Sam conducts experiments on bees trying to raise them so that they can adapt to the toxic atmosphere. She hopes that the bees can eventually filter the toxic air with the help of pollination of oxygen-producing plants. After reaching home, Sam receives an electronic letter from her long-distance boyfriend named Elon, an engineer on the Exodus mission who lives on a space station near Io. He mentions that the last pocket of air on Earth will be depleted soon and urges Sam to leave on the next Exodus flight. It is then revealed that Sam is continuing her father Dr. Harry Walden's research to save the Earth with the hopes of one day making the planet again suitable to live in. Later, Sam carries out all her daily chores and routines such as watering her vegetables cultivated inside of a greenhouse. One day, while listening to one of her father's audio tapes, she receives a message from Elon who tells her that the scientists in Io have surprisingly found a near-identical planet of Earth and are certain that it has suitable conditions for living. He also informs her that the next Exodus flight is in 4 days and is the last one to leave Earth. Suddenly, her computer monitor stops working and she is unable to read the rest of the letter. Frustrated, she quickly puts on her safety equipment and rides out to the Zone on her ATV to scavenge for another monitor. Sam eventually ends up inside of a dilapidated library and shortly after notices something going on outside. It is then revealed to be a huge storm, and so she immediately leaves the library and heads home. However, the storm creates a toxic cloud which passes through Sam's shelter, killing all of her bees and destroying all her research. Devastated, Sam writes a letter to Elon about her situation and states that even if she decides to leave Earth on the next Exodus flight, she wouldn't be able to make it to the launch site due to the lack of supply of oxygen. Shortly after, while inspecting her destroyed bee colony outside, Sam notices a helium balloon in the distance heading towards her, eventually landing near her base. All of a sudden, to Sam's shock, a man named Micah exits the balloon pod and asks for water. Later, it turns out that Micah is in search of Sam's father, Dr. Harry Walden. But Sam states that her father is conducting field work elsewhere and might be gone for several days. She then finds out that Micah intends to reach the next Exodus launch site via his helium balloon. After the two talk for a while, Sam takes Micah inside and shows him his place for the night. However, after hearing one of Dr. Walden's recordings, Micah suspects that he has been absent for more than a few days. The next day, Sam finds Micah outside repairing a windmill which was broken by the storm. Later, she strikes a conversation with him inside and asks Micah whether or not he thinks that her relationship with Elon is absurd. However, he reassures Sam and tells her that it is only human nature to love someone. After bonding with him, she abruptly reveals that she is Dr. Walden's daughter, much to Micah's surprise. Afterwards, Sam shows him around the base and explains all of her father's research and how it can change the world. Micah then asks her about the marks near her ribcage, which turns out to be a part of her research that helps to boost her immunity. The same evening, Sam shows Micah a shocking videotape of a pig named Lucy who could survive the toxic atmosphere without any difficulties, giving her and her father a sliver of hope for mankind. However, she states that Lucy couldn't withstand the dangerous atmosphere for long enough and eventually died. The next day, Micah finds Sam's parents' old bedroom and looks around for a bit before being confronted by Sam. It is then revealed that Sam's mother had died a while back due to an illness caused by Dr. Walden's choice to stay back on Earth. Micah then accuses Dr. Walden for killing her mother, upsetting Sam. Frustrated, Micah immediately rushes towards Dr. Walden's office, breaking in only to find out that the room is dusty and hasn't been used for a long time. Overwhelmed, Sam finally reveals the truth about her father, and it turns out that he had died of an illness a year ago, and takes Micah to his burial spot. So, finding out that she is all alone, Micah decides to take her to the Exodus launch site as well, to which Sam apathetically agrees. He then implies that they will leave via the weather balloon and have to wait and prepare for the right weather conditions, as they don't have many days left for the launch. So later, Micah plops down a small wind vane to check the wind direction as part of the launch preparation. The same evening, Micah is outside setting up a fire, while Sam goes through his bag out of curiosity and finds his personal belongings, including a picture of a woman, presumably his wife. Afterwards, Sam writes Elon a letter informing him of her decision to leave Earth with another traveler, Micah, and hopes to see him soon. The next morning, Micah helps Sam extract the remaining honey from the bee colony, when he makes a shocking discovery. He calls Sam to investigate the hive and find out that a new queen bee has hatched and survived the toxic storm from before. However, Sam states that it is not important now, as she has lost all hope of surviving on Earth. Later, Sam gets a notification on her computer and is happy to see that it is a message from Elon. She reads the letter saying that he is happy to learn that Sam has decided to board the Exodus shuttle. However, Elon reveals that he also has been selected for the first New World expedition to their new planet named Centauri B, which turns out to be a 10-year voyage. Sam is crushed, after finding out that she isn't able to meet her boyfriend for such a long time even after agreeing to go to Io, and as a result she breaks down. At night, Micah offers to prepare dinner while Sam asks him what Earth was like before. It turns out that Micah was born in a time when the world was healthy, and he describes his experience growing up as Sam was brought up during the uninhabitable condition of the Earth. Sam finds his childhood very interesting as he explains about traveling to other cities and landmarks, all of which are unfamiliar to her. After dinner, Sam takes a shower located near their living quarters while Micah reads a book, desperately trying to not look at her. Later, it's clear that Sam wants some physical love, and so she approaches Micah and tries to kiss him. However, he's reluctant in doing so, but eventually they end up sharing an emotional kiss and fall in love with each other. Sam then writes a letter to Elon revealing to him of her father's death and ends their relationship as they both are taking different paths. The next day, Micah hears a radio transmission and finds out that the launch site for the Exodus mission has changed due to a weather issue and is now even further away from their base. Furious, he raises his voice at Sam, telling her of their situation as they do not have enough helium in the weather balloon for the journey. He then blames her father, Dr. Walden, for killing innocent people, as he was the one who convinced them to stay back on Earth. Meanwhile, Sam stays calm and informs Micah that they can get the extra helium for the weather balloon from the zone. However, they can only collect the helium if they spend the night inside of the toxic atmosphere, which Micah thinks is next to impossible. Even so, Sam is persistent on going as it is their last hope of survival, and so they plan their journey. Later, Sam sadly airs a broadcast on a public radio channel to everyone still on Earth that Dr. Walden's attempt to save planet Earth was unsuccessful, and implores everyone to leave Earth on the next Exodus shuttle. So after planning their trip to the zone, they leave their base for good and take Sam's ATV along with Micah's weather balloon towards the city in search of helium. A while later, they reach the zone wearing their gas masks and enter the designated building, where they find a ton of helium. The same night, the two talk for a while before replacing their oxygen tanks with the remaining ones and sleep through the night as planned. The next morning, they fill their weather balloon placed outside in a field with the helium when suddenly Sam leaves Micah on her ATV. She heads to a museum that she had wanted to go to for a long time and spends a while enjoying the art pieces and statues. Meanwhile, Micah hears a beeping sound and learns that his oxygen tank is running low. So, after grabbing 2 oxygen cylinders, he rushes to find Sam. Shortly after, he finds her inside the museum staring at a painting and begs her to leave the area immediately as both of them are running out of time. Sam immediately bursts into tears and shockingly tells Micah that she is not going with him and has decided to stay back on Earth. Her oxygen supply also begins to beep, and so Micah hands her a fresh tank, ordering her to change it. However, instead of doing so, she recalls a recurring dream of her being inside the zone without wearing a mask. She then tells Micah that if she survives, to inform everyone on Io that there is still hope on Earth. She then swiftly removes her mask despite Micah trying to stop her. The scene cuts to a black screen, and afterwards, Micah is seen traveling to the launch site all alone. The movie then fast-forwards several years later, revealing that Sam's body has amazingly adapted to the atmosphere and is alive and well. The movie ends with Sam narrating a letter she has written to Micah and shows that she is enjoying her time on the beach with a child, presumably Micah's son.